things that you mentioned that was another eye-opening thing for me. You talk about the Church of Ireland or the Roman Catholic Church in Ireland. You mentioned the sexual abuse scandals that were there, the failure to people to believe it when it finally came out. And then you put a tie on it that I wasn't anticipating, where you mentioned how it wasn't too long after that, then they vote in favor of abortion, almost like nationwide. And you basically say that the onus and the reason for that vote was because of what happened before, their failure to do it because they lost credibility and authority in public life. Do you think there is there is a lesson, obviously, for that in our culture. Do you think we are reaping what we have sown already because of certain decisions that we've made in that same respect with gay marriage, with what we see going on in a variety of different factors, racial issues, election things? I mean, do you think that we're starting to reap that, or is that yet still to come?
Well, I think if you just look demographically at where the country is under 30 and where the country is going under 30, that's clearly the case. And so you end up with that was one of the reasons why I would always say, it used to drive me crazy with, for instance, the abortion issue. I'm pro-life to my bones, and I've been
Mhm.
working in that area for 25 years. Um, and it would drive me crazy when people would say, well, we don't need laws. We just need to help people to find alternatives to abortion. And I would say we have to do both.
Yes.
If we're actually dealing with two people instead of one, then we need to care for both of those people. And what that requires is a church that really believes that and is supporting them, and a civil state that is doing everything that it can too. But the kind of the mirror image of that is this sort of using of abortion as a political argument, even in terms of enacting certain laws, but without a culture that understands human vulnerability and dignity of human life. And when that goes, I mean, a pro-life view and cruelty and misogyny uh, can't stay together, because people eventually see, wait a minute, that is not consistent. And so what do you end up with? If you have a church that doesn't have credibility, then you have people who are saying, well, I don't trust where the church was on that. So that's what's happening in Ireland. Is you had people who, as Fenton O'Toole talks about in his book, you had people who eventually realized, when they were, in some cases, parents bringing their child to apologize to the priest who molested the child. They Eventually there was a realization, wait, it's not just that the church is hypocritical, it's that we are more moral than the church is.
Mhm.
And once that happens, then there is a loss of credibility and a loss of authority. And usually, in just the way fallen human nature works, it works this way in the church, it works this way out of the church, is that most people say, okay, I've seen this bad thing, or I've experienced this bad thing. So the answer has to be the complete opposite of it. And that's
Mm.
almost never the case. But
Right.
that's what we do. And that's one of the reasons, I think I mentioned this in the book. I don't remember, but if I encounter, I'm on college campuses, university campuses all the time. I'm talking to atheists and agnostics all the time. 98% of the time, great, civil, kind, curious people about Christianity. When I do encounter angry atheists, I know, one time I said 9 times out of 10, I had to correct that. 10 times out of 10, every time I've ever experienced this, it's been somebody who has had some sort of horrific relationship to a church or to a religious person. And so far, in my experience, there have been none of those circumstances where I've said, well, that really wasn't that bad. In every case, it's like, yeah, that is horrible. what was done to you, and it's horrible that that was done to you in the name of Jesus, and they're reacting in this way in the other extreme. So that's just the way that human nature works, and you're going to see it societally. So if you don't have the sort of pro-life vision that's disconnected from partisanship and cruelty, and is stepping back and speaking to the rest of the outside world, then what you're going to end up with is exactly what we're seeing right now, which is skyrocketing rates of pro-choice people. So what have you really won if you get a bunch of pro-life laws that are then repealed in 20 years by people who are saying we are never going that direction again? And who come to increasingly extreme defenses of that. That's not much of a win. So even in terms of the very same standards of success that culture warring sets, it's failing. Doesn't work.